Welcome back to Spring Into Java with me, your host, Glave. So, in today's video, we're going to pick up where we left off on the last video. We are going to create our Discord app and get our bot's register token through the developer's portal. We're going to then create the class to handle the slash command that we created, the register, so that when a user enters in slash register, the bot will reply with a model or an input form asking for the user's pretty basic information, just like their username, first name, last name, and we'll even ask them to give us a password. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on into our developers portal. And up in the upper right corner, you're going to want to click on New Application. In here, you want to click on Create. By creating this, you understand the Discord terms of service, because if you don't, quite frankly, you can't make the bot. So we're going to go ahead and name this guy Pokey. He's going to be on our personal team. And we're going to go ahead and give him a creation. Now, I want to give him a little picture, so we'll slap on a happy little penguin. Alright, next, you can go ahead and give him a description if you wish, or even give him tags. These mainly help with being able to be discovered in the sort of community portal that Discord has, where you can find open and public bots. This just helps people understand who the bot is, or what a little bit about the bot, and the tags just down here kind of give it some helpful information so that people can find you, as well as describe just what it does. Alright, so next, you can also find your public and application IDs here. If you happen to have or want to make any sort of interaction endpoints, such as requiring linked roles or terms of services for your own bot, so people can get that, privacy policies maybe for your bot, you can apply those into here. This just helps the Discord bot get what sort of private policies any sort of user interaction roles that you. So down in the bot section, this here is where you get the build a bot. So we're going to go ahead and change some things in the authorization flow, because we're not going to have this as a public bot, although we do need to give some privileged gateway intents, just so that our bot will be able to be functional with the permissions that we had passed in the bot class when we created it last time. Also, if you do make a public bot and you get into over 100 servers, you also will need to have these toggled on anyway. Next, down bottom, I had mentioned that you can also pick and choose the specific permissions that you wish to have your bot have. You can go through and click on as many or as little of these as you want, and it will give you an integer down on the bottom here. This is just a simple number that Discord uses to identify the specific roles that it would need to give you, very much like getting a key card from a hotel after you've been authorized to do certain things, like maybe you can't access the gym on that membership you have or something. Again, this is just authorizations towards what the bot can do. Our bot actually has the administration one, so it will get a registration of 8. Alright, so up top you're going to want to reset the token, because it does say here that you should not forget it, but technically it never gives it. This is just sort of a quirk. I've discovered this after making many bots myself, that I've never had this actually give me the code first. I've always had to reset token, just as a little side note there. So I'm going to go ahead and reset my token. Alright, so there we go. Now we're just going to want to copy that and drop it in the get token method that we had made. There we are. And next we're going to need a way to run this class. So we're going to need to make a public static void main. This is one of the reasons I love IntelliJ. And once we have that created, we're going to look to simply get our Discord bot and initialize it. That's it. Then we'll go ahead and give that a run. Once it runs, it will connect to Discord, and then it will give us our invite URL with the administration permissions that I had mentioned. So here he goes. He's connecting to Discord. And we have JDA telling us that the login was successful. Loading is finished, and here is our invite URL. So go ahead and give that a click. Once this loads up, we're going to select the Discord server that we want to invite our bot to. Click on Continue. Just confirm the permissions. This will always tell the user what permissions the bot is having. So any of those boxes that you checked earlier will appear here so that the user that's looking to invite your bot will be able to confirm with what permissions they're giving it. So go ahead and enter your code if you happen to have one. And we have successfully added the bot to our server. Let's go and have a look at that. Looks like we have him here. Pokey has arrived on newbie landing. You can see that Pokey has his little Discord bot badge next to his name, and he looks pretty happy to be here. If you happen to have a description in there, the description would appear beneath Pokey's name. And that would be where people would be able to find that your bot has what your bot is. Now also you'll see that this also has the support / commands because we had made the initial register command. So let's see what that does. Alright. Let's go in here now and we're going to look to create a command. In this case, let's go ahead and make a package. Commands. There we are. Now inside of here we are going to need to make a functional interface to handle the / command. So this is just so that we can override a functional method. So we're just going to go ahead and call this dis/ if I can type. And once we are in here, there is just one method or one function that that's why it's a functional interface. There's only one thing that we have to do in here, and that is handle / command. And this is going to take in a / command. There we are, / command interface event, and we're just going to call this event because it is just a / event. Now, that's all for here. We are next going to need to make an implementation of stick this in an implement class here, and we're looking to make a register command. So we'll just name this register. And in here we are going to now need to implement, of course, there we go, we need to implement our this / that we had just created. And it's going to ask us to implement the method that we had just created. So now in here we are going to first make sure that much like we did in here, we are going to make sure that the Discord user who is executing the command is not null. And next, after that, we are going to make sure Next, what we're going to need to do is make a couple of input fields. These are going to be so that we can simply ask the user for some information. Their username they want to use, their first name, their last name, maybe an email address, and ask for a password. So let's make a couple of little text inputs. Alright, so this first one here is going to be their display name. And this is now going to be text input.create. So in the create, the first thing we want to do is give it an ID. This is just going to be how we are going to be identifying this input once it's in the field. So this should be something unique. Myself, I personally generally uppercase if I'm going to use the words here, and I'm just going to simply call this one display name input. Alright, and next we want to add another piece of text here. This is going to be the label, or what is displayed above the input field. So here we just simply want to say enter a username. You wish to display. Next, after that, we have the size option here. So here we want, this is a text styled input, and it is just short. That just simply means that it is only a specific amount of characters long. This one here, I believe, only allows for, yeah, single line. That's what it is. Okay, so this would just be the single line input, so just one line, which I believe is up to 100 characters. The paragraph would be a multi-line. This would be a bigger box, more or less, but we don't have a reason to ask our users for anything too large in our situation. In fact, technically, generally, a username is pretty short. We can actually set a required range. This means that the user must enter inputs between A and B. In our case, let's say between 1 and 18 characters long, so they can't have a name that's any longer than 18 characters. Next, if we happen to want to give a placeholder so that people can get an idea of what they're looking to put here. So maybe something like, I don't know if that's more than 18 characters or not, but just to give people an idea of what to do there. And there are a few other options that you can do here, such as the minimum length, maximum length specifically. You don't necessarily have to give it the range of X to Y. You can set required. This is something that we will flag as true, because we don't want somebody to register if they do not have a username. Now, just to save time, we will copy this and paste it again, because we want to ask for their display name, and we're also going to be asking them for an email address. And this time here, we will just change this up to email input, and we'll just simply ask them to enter their email address. Enter an email for recovery. So this would just be if the user happens to say forget their password or something, or maybe they don't have access to their Discord anymore, but they still want to get access to their. It is just for help them get their email or get their account back. And just give them an example. And this one we don't necessarily need to set a required range on, but maybe we want to make sure that they're minimally giving us some sort of a requirement, like maybe take into event at least one character before the @ symbol, one character maybe for the @ symbol, and then typically things end with at least 3 characters at the end with the dot, maybe being 4. So let's say make it a minimum of 6 characters, just to so we know they're at least giving us a letter, an @ symbol, and a .com, say. So I'm actually going to pause here for a second while I add in the next few, because it's just going to get repetitive from here. Alright, and so now that we have our information here, asking them for a display name, their email address, their first and last name, and we even have a spot for them to ask for their password. So now we need to create ourselves a model, and we're going to give it a customized ID as well, and then we're going to provide a title. This will be the thing that's going to appear at the top of this input form. So we're first going to create a model, and this is again going to be our registration form. And this is going to be a model.create, and we're going to give it a custom ID here. So this is just going to be something like again like we did above, and we're just simply going to call this registration form. Next, we're going to need to add a few things to this. So I'm just going to break that down there so it's a little bit easier to see. So we're going to be adding what's called an action row. This is just simply going to be the elements that we're looking to put in here. So this is going, in our case, going to be all of those text inputs. So like display name, email, first name, last name, and password. I'm going to pause this right quick while I fill those in. Alright, so our registration form now has the display name first, email second, first and last name, and then password is last. So we just want now just to ask or set a title above this, and here we're just going to simply say, please fill out the registration form. Or please fill out our registration. Now, the next thing we have to do is reply to the event that just happened. So that would be the event that we've passed in, and we're going to look to reply, but we're not just with a message, we're actually going to reply with a model, because that is what we just created. And now we're going to pass in the registration form that we have and queue it up. Alright, so the next thing that we have to do is go into our Discord listener, and now we have to start listening for the input from that command. So if command name dot equals, and we'll just do this ignore case, this equals register, then we want this to go into our new register command. Spell it right. Go into our new register command, and we want to handle it. And we are then going to pass in the event that is coming through. Now we are going to run the project. So once this connects to Discord and he successfully logs in, there he is, we are going to open up our / commands and type in register. There we go. Hit enter, and ta-da! Please fill out our registration. This information will be submitted to Pokey. That comes up so that the user knows that the information does come back to us. Next, you'll see here, enter a username. All of these you'll notice, no matter what capitalization we did it, they came in through as uppercase. This is just the input, and you'll notice they all have a little star next to them. That would be because we had told it that these are required fields. So, our user will enter in some information. Give their first name, their last name, and of course something secure here. Right? Something secure. Totally secured. Hit submit, and that will go off to our next video. So in the next video, we're going to show you how to handle that input that came in. We're going to create we're going to create an object that represents this information, and then we're going to store it into the database. So, if you're ready to learn how to accept the information and then persist the information, please join me in the next video. And don't forget to subscribe if this was helpful. There'll be more videos to come, and this series will be very helpful to you. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.